Before we get further into the video, have you picked up any of my merch? We've got this MySpace deathcore design, complete with edgy slogan and impact font on the back. We've got the generic hardcore shirt, including the Mosh Girl, the Neon Cartoon Monster shirt, a personal favorite of mine by my friend Michael Shantz. There's the Pop Punk with Breakdowns shirt. So if you want some new merch, check it out at the link in the description of this video. Many people have asked me this question over the years, and so I wanted to answer it here. Samuel the Human Person says, I know you've already kind of answered this in a previous video, but I'll just ask anyways. What do you truly think about non-metalheads wearing metal band merch? Okay, I will answer that in a minute, but first I thought it'd be kind of fun to share some examples of that, of exactly what we're talking about, because the short answer is I think it's hilarious. This is from Amino, which I guess is some sort of crappy social media site. So I'm sure many of you already seen this, but lately it has come to my attention yet again that celebrities are wearing the shirts of metal bands. Here's an example. Warning, image may be disturbing to some, and you may want to ask your parents for permission to watch the next part of this video. Here is Justin Bieber in an Iron Maiden shirt. Oh my God. What's most offensive to me here is not that he's wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. He's wearing this like hat that looks like it'd be on some 1930s detective. That's the issue for me, but you know, Justin Bieber is so goddamn good looking and cool that he can even wear weird shit like this and it works. Another example here, who is this? Some, I assume, rapper wearing another Iron Maiden shirt. Of course, Kim Kardashian in her Metallica shirt. We've seen these before. Oh, that's Juicy J. Okay. And basically, I think this summarizes all the different options pretty well. So option number one, 35% of people said it's an abomination. Fuck these posers. The number two answer with 25% of the vote is I couldn't care less. 8.7% of the people said maybe they actually like Metallica. 13.5% of people said I'm so used to posers, this doesn't faze me. Lastly, 17% of people said these guys are posers, but at least it's promotion for the band. So I'll tell you where I side on that in a minute. But first, I thought it'd be fun to share a couple other funny examples of this, because mostly I just think it's funny. My personal favorite example of this is Kanye West wearing a Cradle of Filth shirt. Of all bands. In this case, I think it's probably safe to say that Kanye doesn't like Cradle of Filth. I mean, it's possible, but in this case, probably he, got it from some vintage shop or something because he thought it looked cool. That's my guess. Maybe he likes them. I don't know. That's my first thought, is it's really funny to me when people get angry because they think that there's no way that Justin Bieber likes Iron Maiden, or that Halsey likes Slipknot or whatever, or that, Kirsten Dunst, there's no way she could possibly like the Ramones, which I think is hilarious because, I mean, it's not like Iron Maiden and the Ramones and Slipknot are, some top secret underground bands that you couldn't possibly know about. Like, you can literally buy these shirts at fucking Walmart and Target. There's nothing secret about this. These bands have been around for 20, 30, 40 years that have been played all over the radio and MTV. They're on the cover of music magazines all the time. So the idea that a professional musician, remember, someone like Halsey, her entire life is music. So the idea that Halsey couldn't possibly like the Ramones or the Dead Kennedys or whatever is hilarious, right? Like, you think that it's somehow unbelievable that this professional musician doesn't know about the most entry-level band. I find kind of funny. But let's say that Kanye West, let's assume that he doesn't actually like Cradle of Filth, which he probably doesn't. My basic reaction to this is, I don't give a shit. If anything, I think it's funny because, of course, Kanye has no idea that this is the band that made the Jesus is a cunt shirt and, everything else that Cradle of Filth has signed up for. The part that I find especially funny with this is that Cradle of Filth is one of these bands that is simultaneously like pretty popular, yet also hated by black metal snobs. So they're going to get double mad at this one because A, it's Kanye wearing a black metal shirt, and B, the black metal band happens to be Cradle of Filth. So the snobs, the black metal gatekeepers, are double angry about this one. So I kind of like that. This is another big example of it. Kendall Jenner, one of the most famous women on the planet, wore a Slayer shirt, and Gary Holt was really upset about this. I don't know which came first. Gary Holt from Slayer and Exodus wearing his Kill the Kardashians shirt, or Kendall wearing her Slayer shirt. I don't know which came first, whatever. It doesn't matter. I am pretty tired of the Kardashians. I have been for a long time. My wife is obsessed with the Kardashians. And so I've been hearing about them for years and years and years. I'm sick of their Kardashians, but being like a guy in your 50s wearing a shirt that says kill the Kardashians, now that is cringe. Being that angry, just the fact that they're famous is cringe. Or if he's wearing it because somebody wore your band's shirt, that is cringe. You should be happy. How could you possibly be mad that one of the most famous women on the planet is wearing your shirt? And who cares if she actually likes your band or not? If it was me, I'd say, I don't give a fuck. Like, let's say somebody bought some of my merch, but they had never watched one of my videos. I don't know why anybody would wear my merch if they haven't watched my videos, but let's say it happened. Let's say it was Lizzo wearing one of my shirts. I would love it. That'd be great. It'd be hilarious. The fact that she's wearing one of my shirts and doesn't watch my videos would be extra funny to me. I would certainly never be mad about it. I think just this level of anger is very strange to me. Like, why would anyone ever be angry that you bought one of their shirts? It's a product, right? Like, I don't understand. What is the thinking here that, like, you have to pass some sort of credibility test before you're allowed to buy a Slayer shirt or a Cradle of Filth shirt? I don't understand. Like, what would he prefer to happen here? Like, I don't get it. If you're Honda, you don't give a shit who buys a Honda Civic. You don't need to know our company's history. You don't need to memorize, all the details about, how many fucking horsepower this car has. If you want to buy a Civic, go buy a Civic. Why would it be any different with merch? I'm not surprised that the guys in Slayer feel that way because they're kind of, I love Slayer, but they're a little bit boomerish. I am surprised that Cradle of Filth felt that way, though, because I feel like Danny Filth, he's a smart guy whose whole career is essentially based on being edgy and pissing people off and turning that into a career. That is how Cradle of Filth got to be where they are. So I am surprised that of all people that he would get this butthurt about it. I would have thought that he would have been excited about this, or at the very least thought it was funny. Kanye is a huge douche, I agree, but I mean, everybody in metal is a douche too. I don't really understand why he would be so upset about this. Another example of this is Dee Snider from Twisted Sister calls out celebrities wearing metal shirts. Metal is not ironic, dicks. Twisted Sister frontman doesn't like our image co-opted. And for those of you who aren't familiar, this is who we're talking about. This is Dee Snider in the middle here. This is the man who takes metal really seriously. And he says, how dare you? How dare you appropriate this majestic culture? My culture is not a costume, sir. How dare you? Gotta say, this new trend of non-metal fans wearing vintage metal tees is pretty sickening. Metal is not ironic, dicks. It's not just wearing our metal tees. It's the cherry picking of our style. Hashtag skulls, hashtag metal horns. These are our symbols, our image. I'll tell you what, Dee Snider, you don't own this. You don't get to decide who's allowed to wear a fucking skull on their shirt, I don't know if he actually means this or not. Like, on the one hand, I want to say that he's just pandering because he's smarter than this. But on the other hand, again, this is the man who dressed up this way in the 80s. So I guess maybe this is like actually what he sincerely thinks. And I just think it's odd. The reason why people get bent out of shape about this comes down to like tribalism and group identity, meaning that for some people, listening to metal and being a quote unquote metalhead is their entire identity. Not even just playing metal, but consuming metal. Like, I buy metal merch. I listen to metal on Spotify. I have metal vinyl in my house. Like, this is who I am. I am a consumer of metal. That's my entire identity. Part of that is being this, lone wolf, this outcast that's different from everyone else. Like, us metalheads, we're over here. Nobody likes us. Nobody understands us, but we don't care. That's sort of the identity that a lot of these people take on. To these people, when someone else comes along and wears a shirt that's part of quote unquote your culture, that feels like a threat to them, because in their view, part of what is central to their identity is that they're one of the few people who listens to this stuff. Because as much as they sort of say that they would like metal to be more popular, really they don't want that. Because their whole identity is about being part of this small, like, elite circle that doesn't welcome other people unless they're worthy. And of course, someone like Halsey or Justin Bieber or Kendall Jenner couldn't possibly be worthy because they're one of the popular ones. You know, to me, that's like legitimately sad. Your identity should not be so easily threatened, right? Like, I understand, like, if your identity is that you're a metalhead, that's totally fine, whatever. You know, we all have some sort of identity, but it shouldn't be so easily threatened that when you see a stranger wearing the same shirt that you own or a shirt of a band that you like, that you get angry about it and you get enraged to the point that you like talk shit about them on social media when they don't even know you exist. That's like legitimately unhealthy. It's sad that people are so invested in their identity that they get so threatened when someone else just like does something that's vaguely similar to a thing that they like. You know, it's honestly sad to see that people have such, you know, fragile identities. So my advice is, if you're one of these people who feels threatened when you see people wearing metal shirts of bands that they supposedly don't like, number one, you don't know whether they like them or not. I mean, if somebody saw me on the street, they probably wouldn't think that I listen to Cephalotropsy and Disgorge, right? I mean, if you saw me at Safeway, would you think that I listen to the Meat Shits? Probably not, but I've been listening to the Meat Shits for 30 years. So number one, you can't judge a book by its cover. You never know. Number two, so what if they're wearing a shirt of a band that they don't listen to? Like, it's not hurting you at all, right? It's not hurting you. It's not hurting the band. If anything, it's only helping the band. Again, as other people have talked about, like, it's free promotion. If Kanye wears a Cradle of Filth shirt, Kanye is a very fucking popular person. Some portion of the people who see that shirt are going to go, oh, what is Cradle of Filth? And they're going to go look it up and they're going to go, hey, this shit is actually kind of cool. I think I like this band. So if you're a fan of the band, you should be happy because it's helping them. And even if people go buy that Cradle of Filth shirt just because Kanye wore it and they don't even care about the band, they're still buying a Cradle of Filth shirt. It's still helping the band, right? Even posers buying merch, quote unquote posers buying merch, still helps the bands. But more than anything, I just think it's sad that people are so invested in their identity to the extent that they are, that they get so bent out of shape about celebrities wearing metal merch. I mean, of all the things going on in the world and all the things even in your life, this is like at the literal absolute bottom of the list of things that you should be upset about. So those are my thoughts on it. Like, I just think it's sad that this continues to be a thing. And every year I feel like gatekeeping gets a little bit less cool. I hope that soon we can accept that Justin Bieber wearing a Slipknot shirt is not going to destroy the world. It's okay. It's not going to hurt anyone. So those are my thoughts on celebrities wearing metal shirts. Exactly. If they're that pissed over a shirt, what must they be like when they're hit with an actual real life issue? Yeah, exactly. Like when your wife gets sick or when your neighbor starts harassing you or something like that, that's when it's time to get upset. When it's Justin Bieber, who doesn't even know that you exist, wearing a Slipknot shirt, it's not worth it. Save your energy.